major things we want is the desire to be someone else. This is like obesity. This is why did you have weight loss surgery? You wanted your life to change. And one of the worst, most hateful things I got was when I said, you gotta let that old bitch die. Number 15, only bad things happen quickly. Oh shit. Only bad things happen quickly. This is gonna be good. Let's see how long is this chapter. Oh, it's a long chapter. Okay. Only bad things happen quickly. One of the common fantasies entertained by those seeking change in their lives is that it can be rapidly achieved. Nope, slow and steady wins the race. Once we know what to do, it appears that we ought to be able to simply do it. That these sudden transformations are rare is a source of puzzlement to many. The most familiar behaviors that are resistant to change are those that involve addictions of some sort. Sober October, drinking, smoking, drug dependency. Here we postulate some chemical process at work that complicates our efforts to do what we know is best for us. The presence of withdrawal symptoms as we try to relinquish the unwanted substance confirms our belief that we are in the grip of a physical craving that overcomes our willpower and requires special programs to help us defeat it. How about other apparent addictions like overeating and gambling? Sex and shopping have recently been added. Here, the dependency is less obviously chemical, but anyone who has tried to control food intake or the desire to place a bet will tell you how difficult this can be. And there are a lot of chemicals in artificial foods, lots of addictive chemicals in artificial foods. California recently banned that food dye, that red dye food. What is at work here is a psychological power of habit. That is very true. Psychological power of habit. The characteristics that render each of us unique are seldom the products of rational choice. Sometimes, of course, we do choose to develop healthy practices. Regular exercise can be a life-enhancing routine. Our bad habits, however, tend to insinuate themselves over time and become extremely resistant to change. Insinuate in this sense means to creep in quietly and unnoticed. That's an alternate definition to insinuate. Our bad habits, however, tend to insinuate, creep in, and insert themselves, tend to insinuate themselves over time and become extremely resistant to change, even when they threaten to destroy our lives. Wow. Among these life-altering maladaptive behaviors are our habitual ways of relating to others. The traits that we display toward other people are major determinants of how successful we are in forming and sustaining relationships. Most of these elements of our personal style are not the products of conscious choice and are either inborn or were formed by our early experience with our families. Amen. Because they exist below the level of our conscious minds, they are resistant to change, even when they are evidently not working for us. It is obvious that any process directed at changing, even a little, our well-established patterns of thinking and behaving is going to be an extended one and will involve efforts at gaining insight, reevaluating behaviors, and trying new approaches. So here, write this down. Change equals gaining insight, reevaluating behaviors. So how did it work out for me? What am I doing? And trying new approaches. And that's the last one, is most important. Hey, this is not working for me. Let's try new approaches. This is what you're after in life. So you could argue that with my cars. So I'm trying new approaches. I gained insight, reevaluating my behaviors of cars, and trying new approaches. Under the best of circumstances, such change takes time. The same is true for all other personal characteristics and habitual patterns that don't work for us. but that we keep repeating. Number 1, impulsivity. Hedonism, that's eating too much, snacking, gambling. Narcissism, that's the ego. Irritability, that was me. And the need to control those around us. That's Erica's family. To imagine that such traits can be changed overnight or as soon as we become aware of them is to discount the well-established strength of habit and the slowness with which we translate new knowledge into behavior. Benjamin Franklin, no, it was Warren Buffett said the chains of bad habits are too weak to be felt until they are too strong to be broken. The chains of bad habits are too weak to be felt until they are too strong to be broken. To imagine that such traits can be changed overnight or as soon as we become aware of them is to discount the well-established strength of habit and the slowness with which we translate new knowledge into behavior. We waste a lot of time gathering new knowledge, right? We call this perfectionism, and we don't translate it, we don't institute it into action. So we call this overanalyzing, like I'm an overanalyzer. Like, no, you're just not taking the action because it's hard. When we think about the things that alter our lives in a moment, nearly all of them are bad. This is hilarious. When we think about the things that alter our lives in a moment, nearly all of them are bad. Phone calls in the night, accidents, loss of jobs or loved ones, conversations with doctors bearing awful news. In fact, apart from a last-second touchdown, unexpected inheritance, winning the lottery, or a visitation from God, it is hard to imagine sudden good news. That would be sudden good news, huh? You won the lottery. You got promoted. Virtually all the happiness-producing processes in our lives take time, usually a long time. Learning new things. So write this down. Takes a long time. These things take a long time. Learning new things. Changing old behaviors. Building satisfying relationships. That's Eric and me, man. Eric and me, 7 years in the making. No, 8 years in the making. Building satisfying relationships. Raising children. It's a lifelong process. This is why patience and determination are amongst life's primary virtues. Or as Dr. V likes to say, just outlast every motherfucker. Outlast every motherfucker and you will win. This is why patience and determination are among life's primary virtues. This is your weight loss surgery journey. This is your sleeve. This is your gastric bypass. This is why your sister-in-law is regaining weight. Part of it is they didn't get the education, Dr. V. No, they gave up. I mean, at the end of the day, maybe they didn't get the education, right? Comment if you agree. But really, at the end of the day, they just gave up. They just quit doing the behaviors they needed to do. They gave in. These old habits came back. The chains of old habits are too weak to be felt until they're too strong to be broken. In a society based on consumption, the concept of instant gratification is pervasive. Advertising presents us constantly with images that suggest that happiness can be ours through ownership of material goods. See, this is exactly what I was talking about when I discovered minimalism. We need to go back to minimalism. My house is full of shit. I have to get Eric on minimalism. Attractive people, that's me, with lots of friends, that's me, are shown enjoying themselves, that's me, in a way that suggests that we might join them if we buy the correct car, 10 of them, the right house, looking yesterday, and the proper beer. Had a Michelada yesterday. It was kind of painful. One effect of these ads is to produce dissatisfaction that we have, dissatisfaction with what we have and how we look. Another is to suggest the availability of a rapid antidote to our discontent, spending money.
Hey, Dr. V and baby Milani here for a quick word for our sponsor, Resellers program. Resellers is the quick, easy way for average people like you and me to make a free $750 a month without hosting parties or doing sales. It's not an MLM. There's no credit check to see if you can be approved for it. It's a free $750 a month. Check it out, www.ultimatemoneytree.com, or just text DRV to my friend Jerry at the number listed below.
You know, a rapid cure for your unhappiness is spending money, is another way to say that. Is it any wonder that almost all of us are in debt? The other things that are heavily advertised are nostrums of various sorts to cure problems that are uniquely modern. Any regular television viewer, for example, would think that we are in the midst of an epidemic of depression. We are. Allergies, yep. Arthritis, yep. And gastroesophageal reflux disease, GERD, especially the sleep patients. Every sneeze, every ache and pain is promised an easy cure through the taking of a pill. Perhaps it was the invention of the automobile or the airplane or the telephone. Somewhere along the line, we became an impatient people, expecting quick answers to all difficulties. Amen. Our penchant, or like what we would like, or our tendencies toward, our penchant for technological solutions, so apparently successful in controlling our physical world, has had some unfortunate consequences when applied elsewhere. To cite an example of those of us who remember the 1960s, while John Kennedy lit the fuse on the rockets that would carry us to the moon, he also began to involve us in the most spectacular and expensive American failure of heart, mind, and technology in the 20th century, the war in Vietnam. And remember, author Dr. Livingston was fought in the Vietnam War. Still, we are encouraged to believe we live in a world where proper diet, exercise, and the judicious use of Botox and plastic surgery can dramatically slow the aging process. This modern pursuit of the fountain of youth bespeaks a lack of acceptance of our common fate. There is a desperate, superficial quality in trying to eliminate the gradual evidence of our mortality. There is a desperate, superficial quality in trying to eliminate the gradual evidence of our mortality. It is desperate, right? Someone has observed that with the advent of healthy lifestyles, soon hospitals will be filled with old people dying of nothing. One of the things that makes us human is the ability to contemplate the future. Because, dying of nothing, we will all die. Even if you live the healthiest of all healthy lifestyles, you will still die. Suzanne Summers died yesterday. Apparently they didn't say what of, but apparently she's been battling breast cancer for the last 4 years. One of the things that took my girl, Olivia Newton-John, out too. One of the things that makes us human is the ability to contemplate the future. If we are to bear the awful weight of time with grace or acceptance, we have to come to terms with the losses that life inevitably imposes upon us. Primary among these is the loss of our younger selves. Wow. The loss of our younger selves. I need can somebody write that down for me? Because I need to remember that. We lose things throughout our lives, like our hearing, our careers, slow connection, our careers. But I have to remember, we also lose our younger selves. Our younger selves. If we feel gradually devalued, then our lives become a discouraging process marked by desperate attempts to act younger while we disregard the compensations of knowledge and perspective that should result from our accumulated experience. You lose your youth, you lose your physicality, you lose your athleticism, but you gain knowledge and perspective. That's why Michael Jordan needs a coach, you know. That's why Tiger Woods needs a swing coach, because the coach Phil Jackson was never the player that Michael Jordan was, but he has the knowledge and perspective and experience and education that can take Michael Jordan's game to the next level, if that makes sense. And we need to value. So here's the key: we need to value that. We need to value experience and knowledge. The problem is, most older people don't have much experience because they didn't do much, and they don't have much knowledge because they didn't read much or meet people or hang around interesting people. That's the truth. Sorry if you think that's you. Our attention spans are notoriously short. Events move past us with great rapidity. Our memories are consequently limited, and we focus on the foreground. The foreground right here. We pay attention to a limited number of mostly young, good-looking, and wealthy persons who fill the pages of one of our aptly named magazines, People. If they are the people, who are the rest of us? What does it signify to be obscure in a world preoccupied with fame, however earned or unearned? See, it doesn't matter if you think the Kardashians don't deserve to be famous. They are, and they're rich. As long as we measure our others and ourselves by what we have and how we look, life is inevitably a discouraging experience, characterized by greed, envy, and a desire to be someone else. Write that down. So loss of youth is one of the things you lose. You know, loss of your younger self. And one of the major things we want is the desire to be someone else. This is like obesity. This is why did you have weight loss surgery? You wanted your life to change. And one of the worst, most hateful things I got was when I said, you gotta let that old bitch die. I love my old self. Like, how dare you? You don't know me. You're judging me. I'm like, dude, if you don't let her die, she's coming back. She's coming back like Pet Sematary, man. Like, and it's not going to be good. So, and it's you desired to be someone else. The process of building has always been slower and more complicated than that of a destruction. I've been watching all these houses around me take a year and a half to build, but it will take one afternoon and they will tear down a house. One explosion will tear down a skyscraper. The process of building has always been slower and more complicated than that of destruction. Once I was a soldier. Once I was a soldier. What turned me away from the profession of arms was not that I didn't enjoy blowing things up. In fact, I was afraid I enjoyed it too much. What I came to realize and to be offended by is that killing is such a simple-minded undertaking compared with preserving life. This is the Middle East. This is what we're experiencing. Our common future will be determined by the struggle between the killers and the peacemakers. Man, I was just talking about this. This could be World War III. Our common future will be determined by the struggle between the killers and the peacemakers. One can always find justifications, frequently religious, we're almost done, for killing. Frequently religious for killing. That's the Middle East right now. This is our land. This is our God-given right, our God-given land. As with anything else in life, however, it is the act that defines us, not the cause we use as a rationale. It's the act that defines us. It goes back to chapter number 2. We are what we do. It is the act that defines us. It does not matter what you believe. It does not believe. It does not matter what God you believe in. It does not matter if you think you are righteous. It is the act that defines us. And killing another human for any reason, is, I would say, unacceptable. What if someone killed my kid? I would want to kill him, but I probably shouldn't. I should let the justice system do it, or do their thing. This tension between simplicity and effort works itself out in our daily lives. If we believe in the sudden transformation, the big score, we are less likely to pursue the harder and less immediately satisfying work of becoming the people we wish to be. That's weight loss surgery. That is non-surgical weight loss. It is you want to pursue the harder and less immediately satisfying work of becoming the people we wish to be, right? So, here's to the role of time, patience, and reflection in our lives. If we believe it is better to build than destroy, better to live and let live, better to be than to be seen. Better to be than to be seen. Then we might have a chance, slowly, to find a satisfying way through life. This flicker of consciousness between two great silences. So the last part, this flicker of consciousness between two great silences, your birth and your death. Before your birth is a silence, after your death is a silence. And life is short, so it's a flicker of consciousness. If we believe it is better to build than destroy, better to live and let live, better to be than to be seen, then we might have a chance, slowly, to find a satisfaction between two great silences. What an amazing chapter. Only bad things happen quickly. If you want to be happy, if you want to be successful, you have to persevere and be patient. You have to be patient and persevere, because only bad things happen quickly. Only bad things happen quickly, and only a few good things happen quickly, like winning the lottery, a visitation from God, an unknown inheritance. Everything else is going to take time. Building the ranch, figuring out cars, becoming a world-class surgeon took me years. And I fucked it up the first 5 years. Does that make sense? Messed it up the first 5 years. So, everything good has to take time. It took me years to know how to edit videos. It took me years on how to speak quickly on Facebook Live, etc., etc. You know? So if you want to be happy, if you want to be successful with your weight loss journey, be patient and persevere, because only bad things happen quickly, right? Okay.